All right, Tony, back again. So now we've got his torso kind of subdivided into those three sections. We've worked on his bubble butt, started kind of pre-shaping the shoulder area. Now I'm going to come down and do the same kind of editing for his tentacles. I'm not going to go too nuts here because once we start extruding the tentacles, that'll become um, its own challenge, is the best way to put it. So right now, I'm just going to do B. I'm going to do B. I'm going to select that guy, and I'm going to move him in with a G. So it mimics your drawing a bit. I'm going to bring it down to right where the tentacle area is. A, B again. Oh, and you know what? I just noticed something. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk this through with you a bit. Instead, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these points up a little bit in this area, and then we'll do subdivide here. So then we'll have a new region just for the tentacles. So I'm going to do A to deselect everything, B to select this, bring it up. Good deal, I like that. A to deselect. Come down here to the tools, choose different selection mode. Right now we're on vertex. I want to change it to edge again so we can do some subdivision. So B, drag across those edges. So I got all four edges, which is what I want. I just want to subdivide it once, so I hit subdivide and then A to deselect. So now this one, for the tentacles, I'm going to go back to that vertex selection tool and do C here, C, just to do the circle select. And I'm going to bring this one up a little bit with the G key for grab. And yeah, I think right there is good. And then over on this side, I'll do the C key. And, oh, hold on a sec. C, I grabbed too many vertices there, so G, I'm going to bring this little guy down to about there. And hit A to deselect. Now on the back here, I want to bring it down. I'm going to look at your sketch to see how you start the tentacles. So I think we're good here. Yeah, so I'm going to do C just to select those, the circle select those two vertices. I'm going to grab, bring it down to about there, and do an A to deselect everything. So now I'm going to save again, Command S. I'm going to think about this for a second, Tony. I think at this point, the way things are looking, yeah, I'm just going to choose to extrude the arms right out of this space here on the left and on the right. So I'll do this one first. And to extrude, simple key command, which is E for extrude. So just hit the E key. And then move your mouse to the right. And you see it's coming out right there, which I like. Now it's a little too thick, right? So, but mainly in the Z, in the height area. The width maybe is okay. So I'm going to do just a scale, but I'm going to scale it in only the Z axis, which is this one, which goes straight up. So S, Z, and then you get that scale icon, which is the dotted arrows, or dotted line with the arrows. Remember, if you move towards the object, it shrinks it down. So I'm thinking, let's see here, thinking that might be a pretty good width right there. So I'm going to hit A to deselect. Now, to just confuse the hell out of everything, we've been modeling primarily in these three windows, the top, right, and front. but I'm going to model now a little bit in what's called the camera view or user perspective, just because we need to get over to the left side to extrude his right arm, but it's on our left as we work. So I selected that face. I'm going to orient it a little bit more towards us, front on. Again, hit the E key for extrude, and then just drag. And that's probably good right there. Now I'm going to look at your arm. I think we got the same issue we had with the other arm, so I'm going to scale it a little bit in the Z-axis so it's not as thick from the front. So S to scale, Z to constrain it to that one axis, and shrink it down a little. We're good. A to deselect everything. Good point to save right here. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, that's basically kind of covers his shoulder and his upper arms, because he's got those short stubby arms. So what we'll focus on next is rotating that arm at the elbow. So to do that, I'm going to select, let's do his left arm first. So click that face down here to get his left arm. And then I'm going to hit E again to extrude, but I'm not going to pull it out too terribly far, because what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this to accommodate the bend of the arm. So I'm going to hit E to extrude, grab it out, about that far. Now I want to come up to the top view so I can see what's going on as we rotate this. So remember to zoom in and out of a view. You just hold down the control key, and then on your mouse you just drag your finger up or down to zoom in or out. Right there's pretty good. Actually, now I want to move it a little bit to the left, and you do that by holding down the shift key and dragging left or right on your mouse. And there we go. So now this face is still selected. You want to make sure it remains selected. Now we're going to rotate that face, and rotation is constrained by what view you rotate in. So I want to rotate from the top view because I want to basically turn this so his arm starts to face us from the front. So do R to rotate. You get those little dotted lines and another arrow that indicates the rotation. And I'm just going to rotate it a little bit, and you'll see it's starting to kind of fold into the other face we already have. And so I'm going to now do a G to drag it down just a little bit. And I'm going to do R again to rotate it a bit. That. Going to G again to drag it. R again to rotate. And I think that's pretty good. What I'm trying to go for is to get this plane at about a 45-degree angle from the other plane of the arm. And then we're going to extrude again. So now you're going to hit the E key, extrude that, and I'm going to say that's probably a good length for his arm, and we can always adjust this as we go later on. So now I want to rotate this so it's facing more directly towards us. So just hit R, rotate it like so. It's facing towards the camera. Now I'm going to grab it and move it more towards the center of his body. So G, drag it, and I want to get it to about where you have it in your sketch, which if we look down here, it looks to be about right there. And then it needs to come up. So I'm going to use the constraining arrow so it only moves in the up direction. And I'm going to bring that right where you have his hand. That looks pretty good. So let's just exit out of edit mode. First of all, do A, save, and then let's exit out of edit mode. So just hit your tab key. And then I want to move this drawing in the front view into the background again. So come over here and go to find the front image and click back so it renders it in the back. And now we can kind of see we got some stuff going on, some pretty weird stuff that we need to fix, but we're off to a good start. I'm liking it. Okay, so obviously the first thing we need to fix is all this action that's going on with the elbow and the flattening of the arm. And that all just has to do with how the planes, faces that we've moved and scaled are influencing one another. So we'll come in and we will fix that next. So we hit Tab, and let's look at what is going on here. So what we need to do is I'm going to go into edge select mode, and I want to bring this edge in that defines his elbow a little bit because it's way out of line with where we'd like it to be. So move the cursor over in the front view over that vertex, right click, and then just hit G and bring it in. You can see in the top view what's happening too. Things are getting still funky on the inside of that arm, but that's okay. I'm worried about only the elbow right now. Now hit A to get out of there. Now the next thing I want to do is zoom in on this part of the arm in the top view so we can see what's going on a little better. So I'm just holding down the option, not the option key, the control key, pulling up, holding down the shift key, pushing it a little bit to where I want it. And I'm going to hold the control key and zoom in a little bit more. So now this is unfortunately getting a little murky, especially probably to you, as to what's going on here. But there is, let's go to the face select tool right down here. And let's select this face up here, which is the front part of his upper arm. Now you can see there's an edge right over here that kind of defines the crease, inside crease of his elbow. So I want to move that more towards the center so we don't get this flattening action happening. So now I'm going to go click A, kind of keep a mental note of where that edge is here, then go to the edge select, right click on that edge, and then use the red constraining arrow to bring this in, and bring it in quite a bit. Now let's hit Tab just to see what's looking in the model view without all the crap going on. Okay, so that upper arm is looking pretty good, but we still have a lot of flatness here in the forearm. So we're going to fix that next. So hit Tab to go back to Edit View. And then I want to go down here to the selection tools and change to face select, and then I want to click on the face that defines the inside of his forearm, and I want to identify where that edge is that also defines the inside crease of his elbow. And then I'm going to go to edge select, select that, and move that in as well. So we're going to hit A to deselect, come down here to get the edge tool, and come in here. That's the edge there, and we're going to use the arrow tool to bring that in. I'm going to bring it in about right there for now. Hit A to deselect. Let's save, Command save. And then let's go to object mode, so hit Tab. And let's rotate. Remember how to rotate. I didn't remind you, but just on your Apple mouse, you can just drag your finger around to make it rotate. So if you drag left to right, you're kind of rotating from left to right. And if you drag up and down on the mouse, you rotate from top to bottom. So we're getting some goodness happening here. That's coming out a bit. Oops, I lost my mouse. Bear with me. There we go. So I need to figure out why all of this is so flat right now. So I'm going to come at it from this view, or the camera view, or the user perspective. Hold down your control key to zoom in. Let's zoom in a little bit. And Let's hit Tab to go back into edit mode. I'll look at this a little bit back and forth to see what is going on here. Okay, so what I want to do is this very bottom point. I want to switch to the vertex select tool now, down here. And then I want to select just that point right there. And I did that just by when you bring the cursor over it and you just right click with your mouse, you're going to select it. So now I'm going to leave the user perspective view and move over to the top view so I can see a little more in a flat perspective what this looks like. And I'm going to drag this guy out a bit, like so. Now I'm going to come back to the user perspective, hit Tab to get out of the edit mode into the object mode and just see how much volume that's given to that forearm. Pretty good. We're getting nice volume through that elbow area. So now we really just got to fix what's going on here with the end of his wrist, that flatness. So let's hit Tab, come into this view, and I see the problem right away. So what we need to do is we have this edge right here that defines the face, the bottom of that face that is basically the end of his wrist. So if we click on the face select tool down here, and then we click on that, click on that face, and you can see what's going on. It's like, that's not good. Yeah, that's technical terms. That's not good. So there's a couple ways to solve this, but since we're in face mode, I'm going to use the rotation tool to do it. So in the side view, use the control key and your mouse to zoom in, shift and mouse to move it around a bit, about right there. So now if we are in the front view and hit R, we're basically going to rotate around this center point there like we have a pin in it. So that's what I'm going to do, because then what that's going to do is that's going to add more volume. This flatness will go away. So do R, and then rotate it like so. See, and you can see in all the views already that it's looking good. So hit A to deselect, hit Tab to go to volume or to object view. Let's save at this point, and then let's take a look at this. All right, we fixed a lot of that flatness. We still have some tweaking to do. Good deal. Okay. So what I want to do now is go back to edit mode. And I apologize I didn't suggest this earlier, because when we get a complex shape like this, and you can see in the sort of x-ray view, you can see all the way through the model and you're seeing all the edges, and it quickly gets very, very confusing. So let's come back down here to that, which is the limit selection to visible, and click that so that we can't see through the object anymore. And I'm going to use Control to zoom out a bit, roll around a little bit. So what I want to do here is I want to go to Edge Select. Okay, down here in the tools, click this edge. Whoops, not that one. So A, we don't want that one. Let's try it again. I want this one that defines the top of that elbow joint. And we're still not getting it. Let me see if I can get it maybe from the top view here. Man, that baby does not want to select. I'm going to go back down here to that x-ray view to see if I have better luck selecting this vertex right there. Yep, okay. So it just didn't want to let me do it in the other view. Now I'm going to come back down here and I'm still going to turn off that x-ray view. And what we can do now is we're going to lift. Let's look at the right view here. Let's move it, shift, drag with your mouse, move it, do Control, zoom out a little bit. I want to lift that straight up because that's going to start to give us some volume to that area. So here we go. We're going to drag it up. You can see already it's happening. We're getting some action. Nice volume stuff going on here. I'm just going to try and look at this. And again, this is all, I'm rotating using, just dragging my finger across the mouse and then using the shift and control keys to drag the view and zoom in the view just to look at stuff. So now we have the option in the user perspective to literally turn off the perspective, so we're looking at it in an orthographic view, and that's what I'd like to do right now because the perspective's kind of messing with how I'm perceiving these volumes, and I'm not sure what to edit next. So you come down here, see the view button that's highlighted in blue, click it, and you scroll up about a third of the way up to where it says View, Perspective, Ortho. And this is a toggle, so you click it and it'll turn it on or off depending where you are. So it's off now. Now I can get a little better sense of what is really happening with these volumes and what I want to edit next. So I'm going to stop and save here, and then we'll launch a new section to proceed. So hang on, tab, and save.